So what is up, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about building your own carbon fiber making vacuum pump setup at home. With off-the-shelf parts from Home Depot, a run-of-the-mill vacuum pump, anybody can be making carbon fiber. We're going to make a quick trip to the hardware store, and when we get back, I'll show you what we got. And I think that these items will get us a pretty good hardware store vacuum apparatus to build some carbon fiber parts. With the parts we got, we should be able to do pretty good vacuum. But here in a second, once we get finished going over the parts we got and why we got them, we're going to give it a try and see if we can pull a strong vacuum. Alright, so we're back from the hardware store. Let's check out what we got. Started off, we got a roll of this 2 mil thick HDX drop cloth plastic. What we're going to use this for is to create our actual vacuum apparatus that will wrap around our part. So this is my old 3CFM 2-stage vacuum pump. I want to say this is a Harbor Freight based on the brand. It works great. I don't remember how much it costs, but I got some of this stuff as well. The idea behind this Gorilla mounting tape is once we make our vacuum bag, we're going to need something to seal the sections that aren't a folded plastic seam. Bought some new vacuum pump line. And then the most important piece, and the piece that I'm not 100% sure about, is this setup here. So this is actually two separate pieces. We've got a barbed brass end that threads into this piece of PVC, and then this section here sleeves in the bottom of it extremely tight. Right? It's a very snug fit. So if you push this down in here, you can't really get it out. It's a nice snug fit with very minimal play. I think with the 2 mil plastic in between these two layers, it should make an extremely tight seal. So let's build an apparatus and see what we can come up with. All right. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take our hose. I bought 1/2-inch ID hose because that's what my fittings are. Probably be smart to have some hose clamps too, but I can't find any. Well, this is definitely not gonna work. I need to find a hose clamp. Okay, got a hose clamp. So what we're gonna do is slip our hose clamp over our vacuum line and install the vacuum line. Onto our vacuum pump. Hopefully that's a good seal. Probably not great, but it's gonna work. All right, we're gonna set that out of the way. And again, we should probably have a hose clamp. Oh, I just probably made that really hard to get off. And then so now we can test what we've made so far. Definitely draws some level of vacuum. And then we're gonna set these parts in here, like so. The box of Chinese medicine is just to see if it works. And this double-sided clear tape is probably not the most cost efficient to do this with, but I was running out of time at Home Depot because they were closing. I had to make it work. So what we want to do is we're going to come from the fold, or like roughly where we're going to fold, put this stuff down. And set that aside. And yeah, this stuff is not going to make sense monetarily, but it'll work for me to test it tonight so I can find some cheaper stuff at the hardware store. Everything I bought today, I bought at Home Depot, except for the vacuum pump. That came from Harbor Freight, I believe. And I will put links in the description to all the parts. So if anybody wants to try and recreate this home-built carbon fiber setup, Everybody should be able to come up with these parts pretty easy. Assuming it works, this might be a great little way to build some carbon fiber stuff at home. Or it doesn't have to be carbon fiber if you have the right resin, you know, anything. So you could be making fiberglass parts with the same logic here. But we're talking carbon fiber because that's what I want to use this setup for. I know the right tools to buy for this too, but I thought it would be fun to see if we could come up with the components we need at the hardware store, so you don't have to order stuff from some specialized company, enabling us to maybe make this easier for your DIYer at home. So what we're doing here, we're making our vacuum bag. Once we would, hypothetically this might be a lot bigger, right? But we'll put our part in here, and ideally I'm gonna have this sitting this way so it doesn't vacuum itself to the rest of the plastic. So once I finish making the vacuum bag, we'll try and get the parts set together and see if we can't draw a vacuum on this. All right. So again, the idea, you know, this bag could be any size. However much of the plastic you cut is how much is the size of your vacuum bag. So here we're just trying to do a test, so it's small, but once you've got your part placed, you've got your inside plug that your vacuum pump mounts to set up, fold the bag over on itself, and then we want to seal the bag over on itself. So the idea being that you make sure you got enough extra double-sided tape such that when you seal this bag, you're not going to have any folds like I did right there that could allow air through. I think we're good. We'll see. Hopefully it works. And then we're going to bring this around, and the reason I bought two separate pieces here is because I want to put this on here, and I'll push them together good and tight, and now I need to just poke a hole here. So my finger's not long enough. But now this should be a sealed bag. So together we shall test this, see if it's going to work. Connect the vacuum pump to it, nice and snug. All this stuff doesn't want to sit very level. Let's try it. Alright. Alright, there's our first lesson. Either the 2 mil plastic Okay, so what's happening here is our plastic's getting sucked into this giant hole, and once it gets a suction on the plastic, which is what I was trying to avoid, it pulls it down until it pokes a hole in the plastic. Cool, test 1 completed. It kind of works, but not well. The good takeaway from all of this is the failures didn't occur with any of these components. So this is successful, and they sell 4 mil plastic at Home Depot and Lowe's and all those places, which might be a better option. But alternatively, I think if I can just set it up so that the plastic can't get sucked down in this hole, if I can set it up so the plastic doesn't get sucked down in this hole here, it shouldn't do what it just did. So we're going to build another bag, and we're going to try it again. Okay, So this happens to be the same diameter as these little rubber seals for a garden hose. So packed a bunch of these little rubber seals in there. You can kind of see they're all the way down through there. And I'm hoping that the smaller diameter will make it less likely to stretch the material enough to pop a hole in it. I don't know, we'll see. Might have to go up to some thicker plastic. But for today, let's try it out. We got the roll of plastic, so we're gonna go ahead and cut another segment of the plastic here. Lovely roll of plastic, and we're gonna go ahead and set up basically that same experiment. So we are gonna try again. So let's get our second bag all buttoned up and I'll be right back. All right, our second bag's done. Unfortunately for the pocketbook, these two little tiny bags I made use that entire roll of tape. So if that's the only option we can come up with, this might not be the most economical way to go about building vacuum setups, but it works. So let's see how she goes this time. See if we can't get it to vacuum. And ideally you wouldn't want it to vacuum right onto your part, but for the purpose of this test, it'll be fine. And if nothing else, we go to 4 mil next time. Seems to work. All right, so I don't have a vacuum gauge to see if we've pulled a full vacuum here. What I'm gonna do to kind of test this bag out is I'm gonna add a ball valve right here or somewhere. I don't know if I can add a ball valve actually, since this is barbed, not threaded. So this weekend, my brother and I are gonna get together and make some parts. We're gonna make a composite mold for some parts. We may get some parts pulled this weekend as well, but we're gonna get the mold made if nothing else. So I wanted to test the setup real quick and get an idea of if this is gonna work or not. I think we're on the right track. On Monday, the upload will be the actual process of building the mold. We're making a plug. We're gonna make a plug with this car. And then from the plug, we use fiberglass and make a mold. And then once we've got a mold, we can start pulling carbon fiber parts. But it seems like we're on the right track with our vacuum apparatus here. It'd be nice if I had a vacuum gauge. I might buy a vacuum gauge. And I think I'm gonna buy a ball valve as well to test to see if these will hold vacuum with the pump not connected. So we don't have to keep the pump running. But other than that, there's only two other thoughts I have with regards to our setup here. Once we have a mold made, we won't have the issue with the plastic getting pulled up in here because this is gonna be against the mold face. It can't draw suction against anything, but it'll be pushed up against a solid surface so it can't mess up the bag. One other thing would be some sort of conduit or something that we can run around the whole outside of the bag to allow air to always escape on the vacuum pump. So you don't end up, if you've got a big mold and your vacuum set up on this side and over here, you might end up with a bubble. We don't want bubbles. We want to get a full vacuum on the entire surface of the part. So, 2 more things I need to buy. Or 3 more actually. Yeah, 3 more things. I want to get a ball valve for this. I want to get a gauge so I can see how much vacuum I'm drawing. And I want to get some sort of conduit or a spring or something along those lines such that we can have a air passage all the way around the part. With that said, on the right track with our vacuum setup. I think that with a little bit of refinement, this will work. And on Monday, we might start the video. Monday's upload might be a bit longer, or we might break it into a couple parts, but we'll have a setup vid or a setup section where we're gonna get this all set up properly. We'll start by actually making the plug, so we'll just get right into it on his car, and we're gonna use expanding foam and Bondo and build the actual shape of what the part's gonna be on his car. And then with that, we'll then finish the surface to the quality level we want our carbon fiber part to be. And then once we have a actual part that sits on his car perfectly and looks exactly the way we want it, we'll build a mold off of it. So tomorrow's video, or Monday's upload, will be building a mold. And this setup will get used in building the mold, as well as once we have the mold built and we're actually pulling parts on it. So guys, if you appreciate the composites content, hit that like button. We'll see you in the next one.